quality is for us on the industry that it's better to have a better production system. All right, so why the sector still faces on the legitimacy pressure? So this slide, you can say that it has been explained, or I will explain you on the why the sectors remain under pressure even when it economically important and agronomically efficient, because there are at least we can see here 4 risk layer, which is that for the first environment for the first is on the environmental risk. You can see this: deforestation, biodiversity loss, peat emission, and landscape level impacts. Right, so this is what we are facing in Malaysia right now on the peat side, peat emission. And then on the second point is on the compliant risk, which is that sustainability claims are now tested against evidence. What? Right? And then the third one, we can say that trade access risk. Why? Sustainability has been claimed that they are now tested, for example, on the market entry can be blocked by due diligence requirement. And the last one, on the fourth one, reputation risk, which is that in a traceable world, scrutiny is permanent. Okay, this is why the sector cannot depend on the narrative on the management only, because it needs evidence management. So we can see that the palm oil is explicitly within the scope of the EU deforestation regulation, and the current official on the European Commission, EU, timetable has put that entry into the application at 30 December 2026 for the large and medium operators, and 30 June 2027 for micro and small operators. So the direction is very clear, that is absolutely clear that compliance pressure is still coming, even if timeline have shifted. So what does it mean in practical? It means that the industry must move from saying that we are sustainable to proving what? Proving what? Where the oil is coming from? Where the land is it came from? Whether that the land meet the required rules, and whether the system can withstand on the independent scrutiny. So my view is very direct, right? So we can see that legitimacy gap in oil palm is not mainly a communication gap, right? It's an evidence gap. Okay, so the missing layer in sustainability debates that you can see is actually a soil, right? So this slide has been addressed that what I consider one of the biggest blind spot in the sectors. When people discuss sustainability in the oil palm, so they usually focus on the forest, on carbon, right? So on the satellite monitoring, and also on the certification. These are all important. I am not argue with it, right? But they are not enough, because plantation resilience is built on soil. Because we need to understand, soil is the heavy base of the system. If the soil function is weakening, right? So the productivity become less stable. Nutrient efficiency start to decline. Water regulations worsen, all right, and resilience are still will start to drop, right? So that is why I say the soil is not a side issue. Soil is a strategic infrastructure, right? So even FAO still reminds us on the three hard truth, right? So you can see that 95% of foods coming from soil, and 33% of soil are already degraded, and it can take up on the 1,000 years to form just only 2 to 3 cm of the soil, right? So I think this is a very reality statement that we need to face right now. And I think the management need to take it as a management statement, because I think, for example, on the recent review, also showed that soil health is central to climate resilience and crop productivity, and that strong system need integrated management. right? So it no more on the isolated intervention. Because, for example, right? So, for example, on the soil amendments, biological approaches, precision management, and in the context, specific practices, all matters when resilience become a production issues. So the message of this slide is very simple. Forest matters, carbon matters, but if soil function is ignored, right? So in the long-term sustainability, it will start to build a weak base, right? So that's why if you can see that even right now in Malaysia, we have on the third season, on third cycle, some plantation have two cycle or third cycle, because for the lifespan of the oil palm is about 25 years, right? So every 25 years, some plantation will do the replanting season. So right now in Malaysia, we have about two or three cycle, right? So because we already been the oil pipe industry in Malaysia already been almost 100 years. Okay, so we can say that our R&D, right? So development on the agronomic and so on quite well established. But right now we are start facing on the yield declining, right? So I think this is gap that our industry start need to looking at on the soil, right? Because this is the when we start looking on the soil function, we will start cope with just not only on the productivity, on the yield, but also we can start cope with the climate resilience.